Did China invent the bullet train?
No.
The suspension bridge?
No.
Solar panels? The skyscraper? The electric car? Nuclear energy? The tunnel boring machine? No, 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 and no. But here's the question nobody actually asks. What did China do once it got its hands on these ideas? Because this is the part that always gets skipped in every argument about who created what and who deserves the credit. The original inventors laid the groundwork. China took that groundwork and pushed it to a scale, a speed, and a level of ambition the original creators never attempted, never funded, and in some cases publicly insisted was impossible. You can hand someone a blueprint. You cannot hand them the determination to build it at full scale. That has to come from somewhere else, what you are about. To here is a record of what happens when 1.4 billion people decide that good enough is not a strategy, and version 1 is never the final version. By the time this is over, the word copy is going to feel like the weakest possible description. The trains. The bullet train belongs to Japan. The Shinkansen launched in 1964, timed with the Tokyo Olympics, running at 200 kilometers per hour. The world watched and called it an engineering marvel. France pushed it further with the TGV in 1981, reaching 300 kilometers per hour. Europe was impressed. America studied the technology, and a handful of other nations built short stretches of track. For roughly 2 decades, that is where things stayed. High-speed rail was impressive, celebrated, and limited in reach. Then China entered the picture. In 2008, China opened its first high-speed rail line. Within a few years, it became clear that China was not building a high-speed rail network. It was building the network, the one against which all others would eventually be measured. By 2024, the country had built more than 45,000 kilometers of high-speed track. Pause on that number. 45,000 kilometers. Every nation that operates high-speed rail, Japan, France, Germany, Spain, South Korea, and every other country combined, totals roughly 20,000 kilometers. China alone built more than double that. These trains run at 350 kilometers per hour, maintain an on-time performance rate above 95%, and carry over 4 billion passengers every year, more than the entire global commercial airline industry in a year. The network links every major city in the world's most populous country. Japan pioneered the bullet train, and after 6 decades has about 3,000 kilometers of track. China built 15 times that in 15 years. A factory worker in Wuhan reaches Shanghai in under 2 hours. A student in Xi'an attends university in Beijing like a commute. Communities separated for centuries are now one economy. The rail system did not just move people faster. It reorganized an entire civilization. The bridges. The suspension bridge is a landmark achievement of Western engineering. The Brooklyn Bridge, the Golden Gate, the Humber Bridge, structures that became symbols of national ambition and defined what architecture could achieve. For most of the last century, the world's longest suspension bridges belonged to the United States, Britain, or Japan. Records moved slowly, and each new one was celebrated for years. Then China started building. Today, China holds every single spot in the top 10 longest suspension bridges on Earth. Not most of them, all 10. These are not modest record breakers. Several carry dual-deck configurations, a 6-lane highway above and a major expressway or railway below, anchored across some gorges and cliff faces that earlier bridge engineers never imagined needing to cross. The Yangtze Bridge in Wuhan has a main span of 1,700 meters, over 500 meters longer than the Golden Gate, carrying a highway above and an expressway below, completed in 4 years. Then there is the Glass Bridge. The concept existed elsewhere as a novelty, a one-off attraction. China built hundreds of them. The Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge spans 430 meters between 2 cliff faces, 300 meters above the valley floor. with a fully transparent walkway. Every step provides an unobstructed view straight down. Engineers confirm the glass holds the weight of dozens of people at once. Visitors understand this. Their legs do not agree. Over 100 glass bridges now exist across China. Some are engineered to flex and creak slightly underfoot. Not a flaw, but a deliberate design choice. Because the movement heightens the emotional intensity, making visitors more likely to remember and talk about the crossing. More than 2 million people cross that single bridge every year, voluntarily choosing the most uncomfortable walk of their lives. China did not invent the glass bridge. China turned it into a tourism industry. The skyscraper was born in Chicago in 1885. New York carried it through the 20th century. The Empire State Building, the World Trade Center. These towers became global shorthand for ambition. China was not part of this conversation for most of that history. In 1990, the country had almost no modern skyscrapers. Skylines were flat. Today, China has more skyscrapers than any other nation. More than the United States, more than all of Europe combined. Shenzhen alone has more super-tall towers than the entire United States, in a city that was a small fishing village 40 years ago. But the number is not the story. The speed is. In 2012, a firm in Changsha assembled a 15-story building in 6 days using modular prefabrication, manufacturing every component in a factory while the foundation was being prepared on-site simultaneously. 2 years later, using the same method, they completed a 57-story tower, offices, hotel rooms, and apartments fully equipped in 19 days. A 200-meter building in 19 days. Construction industries elsewhere called it impossible. But structural reviews found the factory-produced components were more consistent in quality than conventional site construction. China now adds more skyscrapers each year than the rest of the world combined. The country that was not in the conversation in 1990 is the entire conversation today. The ports for most of the 20th century, Rotterdam was the name synonymous with global shipping, the busiest port in the world for decades, and the benchmark every logistics company measured itself against. In 2004, Shanghai overtook it, then Shenzhen passed, then Ningbo Zhoushan, Guangzhou, Qingdao, Tianjin. Today, China operates 7 of the world's 10 busiest ports, 7, built from almost nothing in the 1980s. China now handles more container traffic than any other nation by a margin so large the comparison barely registers. Shanghai alone processes over 47 million container units annually, more than double the Port of Los Angeles. Ningbo Zhoushan, a name most people outside shipping have never heard, moves more cargo than any U.S. port, and so does Shenzhen, and so does Guangzhou. Fully automated terminals operate with AI-guided cranes, loading vessels without a human hand touching a single container. Rail lines run directly to the docks, so cargo moves from ship to train without a truck queue. Rotterdam remains an impressive port. It is no longer the standard. China built 7 replacements in 30 years, while simultaneously building the manufacturing economy large enough to fill them. The Sun View solar panel was invented at Bell Labs in the United States in 1954. For 5 decades, it remained expensive, niche, and dependent on government subsidies. Solar power was the energy source of the future, and it seemed determined to stay that way. China entered the solar sector and changed the economics of clean energy permanently. Today, China manufactures roughly 80% of the world's solar panels. Not a majority, not most, but 4 out of every 5. The global clean energy transition runs on Chinese industrial production. Over the last 15 years, panel costs dropped by approximately 90%, making solar the cheapest electricity source in human history, driven by Chinese manufacturing scale, compressing costs throughout the supply chain. The Tengger Desert Solar Park in Inner Mongolia covers more than 1,000 square kilometers, the largest solar installation on Earth. China has also built floating farms on lakes and reservoirs, where water beneath cools the panels, and increases efficiency. In 2010, a solar panel cost around $2 per watt to produce. Today, because of Chinese manufacturing scale, that figure is under 20 cents. The physics did not change. The industrial approach did. Nearly every solar farm built anywhere in the world today relies on panels made in China, benefiting from price reductions that would not exist otherwise. The cars Tesla demonstrated in California that an electric car could be desirable, high performance, and commercially viable. The American auto industry insisted consumers would never choose electric. Tesla proved them wrong. China watched, and then China moved. Today, China produces and sells more electric vehicles than the rest of the world combined, more than the US, more than Europe, more than Japan and South Korea together. In 2023, 1 in every 3 cars sold in China was electric. The country has over 800 EV manufacturers, from budget city cars priced under $10,000 to luxury models competing directly with global premium brands on performance. China has more public EV charging stations than every other country in the world combined. BYD, a company Warren Buffett invested in before most Westerners had heard of it, founded in Shenzhen in 1995, making batteries for mobile phones, became the world's largest EV manufacturer by sales in 2023. The manufacturing, charging infrastructure, battery supply chain, and software were all built simultaneously at national scale within a single decade. Tesla proved the electric car was wanted. China proved it was inevitable. The Signal 5G emerged from a global standards process involving American, European, and South Korean companies. When rollout began, most nations treated it as a gradual, multi-year project. China treated it as a national infrastructure priority. In its first 2 years, China deployed more 5G towers than the rest of the world, combined managed in 5. By 2023, over 3 million 5G base stations were operating in China, more than 80% of the global total. Factories run fully automated production lines on private 5G networks. Hospitals perform remote surgeries guided by 5G-connected robotics. Ports coordinate autonomous cranes with response times measured in milliseconds. The United States has roughly 100,000 5G base stations. China has 3 million. Both countries had access to the same technology at roughly the same time. The gap is not technical. It is a gap in national will, capital deployment, and the speed at which a decision becomes physical infrastructure. The country with the stronger network runs the more advanced factory. The factory makes what the world buys. The tunnels and the dam. The tunnel boring machine was a Swiss and German breakthrough, replacing dangerous manual excavation with continuous automated drilling. Switzerland used it to build the Gotthard Base Tunnel, 57 kilometers through the Alps, over 17 years of work. China bought them by the fleet. China now operates more tunnel boring machines than the rest of the world combined, and has bored more rock in 20 years than any nation in history. The Sichuan-Tibet Railway, through some of the most geologically challenging terrain on Earth, will be the most ambitious tunneling project ever attempted. On dams, the same scale applies. The Hoover Dam generates about 4 billion kilowatt-hours per year. China's Three Gorges Dam, the largest hydroelectric facility ever built, generates roughly 100 billion. Same technology, 25 times the output. Beside it sits a ship elevator, raising vessels, 113 meters in 40 minutes. Engineers from dam-building nations found no precedent to compare it to. The atom nuclear power was born from the Manhattan Project. The United States built the first reactor and led the world in civilian nuclear energy for decades. Then 3 Mile Island, then Chernobyl, then Fukushima. Across the West, nuclear became politically untouchable. Plants were shut down, Germany retired its entire fleet, and the US essentially stopped building. China kept going. Today, China has more nuclear reactors under active construction than every other country in the world combined. Roughly 25 in China versus a handful across the rest of the planet. China's newest designs include passive safety systems